Hello, welcome to episode 12 of Business Can Be Better, and third one on video, live video.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, second one on YouTube, and today we are talking about knowing your why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which was a Kelly Ray suggested topic, and he brought me tea.
And mini cookies.
This episode brought to you by The Penny, apparently.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have to call on them and charge them for that. Millions of viewers are seeing this.
Yeah.
So, knowing your why. Let's start with what's new.
Yeah. What's new?
What's new? Sorry, I'm just like, let's get into it.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm so excited. I took some notes. I did some research. Not research. I just prepared
preparation.
My thoughts.
And we are still late.
I know. We're working. We gotta figure out how long it actually takes to get all the lights and mics and the stream and all that set up, because it's longer than I have predicted.
And we're sorry. We're not late ever for meetings or things like that. So we shouldn't be late for this. So next week, I'm going to get here at 6. We're going to get up here by 6:03.
Okay.
We'll be live at 6:15.
We'll be live at 6:15.
Yeah, for sure. Probably 6:14.
Okay.
Waiting for the viewers to come.
Yeah.
So what's new?
What's new with me?
Yeah.
Well, we had a concert behind me last week that I was very excited. Very stressed about. I've never put on anything like that before, like put on a concert with a legit, serious, real band. We had Said the Whale come play, and it's very stressful because it's just not something. I don't know. When you do things a lot of times, you kind of know what to predict and what kind of things can happen, but this was totally new, which is a fun thing to do too, to do something new, but it's terrifying.
And it was a snowstorm, right?
It was no, it was after the snowstorm, but there was so much melt that our roof started leaking, so we had drips on the crowd. And it was also more people. I thought it was just like the trio that the band kind of core is made up of that were coming, but it ended up being 5 of them, like a full piece band, and we don't have much space down there. So we somehow wedged in the 5 people in the band, and then we looked at what was left for floor space for the 60 people that I'd sold tickets to, because we sold it out, and we were a little concerned about whether they were going to fit in the building. But they did, and they only got dripped on a little bit, and it was a good time. And they loved it, because you don't get to see a band like that intimately, where you're literally like this close to them while they're screaming into a microphone. So it was a fun thing to do, and it was just something to do for our business that I wanted to do. They reached out to us that they wanted to do a show in Lethbridge, and we had a venue to do it. So yeah, it was fun, and I would like to do it more often, but
just figure out the logistics.
Yeah, we'll get it going. But it was a very fun thing to do anyways. So now we have a signed poster down there that I need to get up on our wall by all of them. Like the new album, they have a poster of the Cascadia tour. So we need to get that up on our office walls to show what's happened in here.
Awesome. I always feel like I overuse the word awesome when I'm here, because it's on your wall.
Because it's like ingrained when you walk in the door.
Something awesome. I almost wrote that on the bathroom wall at the Penny. At the Penny Coffee House, they have a chalkboard where you can write things.
They'll be like, oh, Lane was here.
Yeah.
It's on the wall right, where is it? Like there, behind us.
What?
I'm pointing on the screen so they can see where I'm pointing.
The Penny?
No, the do something awesome on our wall.
Oh, okay.
Very, very large decal on our wall.
I think you're hallucinating.
I'm not. The T is just T.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Thought you wanted that special
What's new
tea.
with Kelly Ray?
Well, I have a little bit of a sniffle left, but I'm feeling much better. Last week when I was here, after we finished the podcast, I spoke my last words to you on my way out and was very, very sick for like the last week. And my husband is an MMA fighter, and he has a fight in 11 days.
You did this last time where you checked your watch.
He wouldn't kiss me.
Right.
He's like, get away from me. No touching. So that's horrible. So hopefully that ends soon, because I feel better. But I have to be like cough-free, sniff-free. I know.
It's
I'm so
part
excited.
of our extremely busy October is that's one of the things that we're like, we have to do that.
Awesome. I promise.
Okay.
See? Awesome.
It'll be awesome.
That's all I can say when I'm here. Also, I'm looking at, we're very, very close to partnering on somebody really amazing with a new business. So I'm so stoked about that. And it was our anniversary. 1-year anniversary. No touching.
Congratulations. No touch. What an anniversary.
Oh, I got presents.
1 year anniversary.
Yeah, we made it.
Wow.
It's
We're
funny
10 years this December.
10 years married?
10 years married, yeah.
Wow.
10 years married, December 18th.
You must have got married when you were like 12.
Well, Jocelyn was 18, so close.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. We're going to have to talk about that later.
Years. That's non-podcast
Like,
topic.
what's the podcast topic again?
Podcast topic is why.
Okay,
What's
knowing your why.
What is the why? You're a big proponent of this.
Well, the reason I'm a big proponent of this, especially the last week when I was really sick, is I find that when people do know their why and they're really connected to it, those hard times, you don't think about quitting. You know, you're just
Right.
like, yeah, this is tough. I'll get through it. But I think a lot of people, and I say this all the time to my business owners when they're really, really frustrated, the only difference between you and the other businesses that aren't out of business is that they didn't quit. So you can quit anytime you want, or you can keep going. And I find that the people who really know their why and are connected to it and kind of have it somewhere to remind themselves, they don't think about quitting as often.
Okay.
And I've actually had a lot of people come to me in the past few weeks really struggling. And when they connected with their why, it became much easier. So yeah, I just thought this would be a really cool
that's
topic.
Almost seasonal. It's like right now. It's like October. And the seasons change, and it's back to the grind after summer, and everyone's like, "Why do I do this?
Yeah.
why can't I punch the clock and go home and watch Netflix
But
guilt-free?"
Christmas is coming.
Yeah.
So there's that. The snow keeps reminding me of that. I
It
might have a
feels like
secret Christmas tree in my lunchroom plugged in already.
Oh my god.
No, we won't. We'll not publicly celebrate Christmas until after Remembrance Day.
Right.
I am appropriate. So knowing your why. Politically correct. That's
What
the
is
word.
your why?
Okay, this is going to be a long story. Are you sure you want me to
Yeah,
start?
let's
Okay.
do it.
Okay. So, so my why and my business why I was going to talk about. So for TMH Business Coaching and Consulting, that's the business I'll be talking about.
Yes.
Okay. So this is a long story. Okay, so this is pretty personal, and we're live, so everyone wants authentic. That's
I didn't
fine.
even bring a box
I
of
might
Kleenex.
cry. It's fine. Oh, I have a sweater.
Okay.
So when I was a kid, my mom had depression, and so I have this one memory of I was the oldest kid.
Okay.
My brothers, when they became teenagers, they all of a sudden started acting like they were my older brothers,
Right.
which they still think they're like my big brothers. But when we were kids,
Okay.
I was the biggest one. So I think I kind of took it upon myself to kind of like make it my responsibility to make my mom happier. So I would remember like going into her room and she was crying in bed, and I was like doing anything I could, like silly things, trying to make her smile.
Right.
And I just remember as a kid just being so committed to that, making people happy. You know, like I just wanted people to be happy. I just wanted them to smile.
Right.
And I've done a lot of personal development, a lot of counseling in my life. And that was kind of one issue that I uncovered, but I don't really want to heal it. Like, I don't think I need to heal it. I kind of love it. And it kind of drives me, is really my need. Well, I guess I have to add to this story. There's another layer. And then as I grew up, when I was a young adult, I struggled too. I struggled with depression and mental illness. And then I got help, and I totally started learning all this really amazing stuff. And I went from really, really depressed and sad and feeling like hopeless to really, really happy and really successful in all the areas of my life that are important. And so in the beginning, before I was a business coach, I wanted to just like be a life coach or something.
Right.
Not that word. I hated that word.
Yeah.
But something where I just took people and helped them go from unhappy to happy, because that's what I did. So I figured this is like,
Right.
oh, I got to share this with everybody. I even wrote a book a long time ago. But the thing was, I was also really good at business, and I had still been doing my business education and everything. And I really fell into working for business owners who weren't happy. And when I made their businesses more systemized and profitable, made them lots more money, then all of a sudden they were happy. So
Okay.
for me, I really kind of latched onto that because I wasn't having much success making people happy in general.
Right.
You know, I can't just be like, oh, you're sad? Let me heal you.
Let me
That's not
fix
my
that
thing.
for you.
But with business, it's crazy. Like every business owner that comes to me, they're stressed out, they're not making enough profit, that sort of thing. It's very easy for me and very natural, and comes easy to me to help them make their business better so that they feel more freedom, more joy, more
Right.
ease. So I kind of combined all those three things into like,
Okay.
why? Because I want to make people happy.
That's
And
the
I'm
why.
particularly good at business, so I want to make business owners happy.
Mm-hmm. Is that?
Is that clear?
Yeah, it's
It
clear.
feels very convoluted. Okay, but that's it. That's what it is.
And the primary way that you your service makes business owners more happy is removing stress? Like, is that basically
just making the business work better? Because most of us start a business because we're good at a thing, you know, like carpentry or like carpet cleaning. Okay, I'm a good carpet cleaner. I'll start a carpet cleaning business. But there's so much that you need to know about financials and leadership and operations and marketing, gosh, you know, and they don't realize they have to know all that stuff. So they get in, they start growing a team, they get really busy, but then they realize that they've been working so much and not getting a ton of profit out. So they don't have enough time off, and they also don't get enough money. So fix those two things and almost everybody's happier. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think like it's funny. When I was a student, like we were broke students for a long time. We had our first 2 kids while I was still a student. We lived on student loans. I'm still paying those off. But
me too.
I find a lot of joy in paying bills now, because when you have the money saved up appropriately and you've budgeted and you're like, no, this is my government money that I've set aside and this is my bill paying money, like it doesn't bring you stress anymore. And just the fact that action can almost be like a celebration. You're like, how good is it to be at this point where we've been able to set aside this money that we owe back to the government?
That's awesome.
It's a win. And that's what I mean, is that's the kind of thing that when you empower people to be in a position where they're able to do that, that's why, like, you can turn something that they are dreading, I have to do my remittances, into something that they look forward to. They're like, oh, I like being able to hand over this money because I know what it was like. Like, now I just have it in a side account that I'm not touching, and there it is. Like,
yeah. And I think the last piece that I kind of have to finish that off so it's all connected, like I'm going to get into later talking about your mission statement and how important it is to include your why in there. But for us, we really wanted to translate it into a why that would land for people. Okay. And so I kind of took all of that, and, you know, the last sort of piece of the mission statement is because business can be better, and it should be. And so like when you you know, if you're listening or watching or whatever, if you read that last line of the mission statement, to you, those might just be words, but there is so much passion behind that and so much feeling. Like when I say, because business can be better and it should be, that and it should be is me, my whole lifetime of seeing people who are really, 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 really sad or stressed out or unhappy. And also knowing that I could, like, I used to say, drag them from the darkness into the light. Right. You know, like, come over here. It's so much better over here. So all that, like, all that sort of why and passion and energy is behind that little sentence. So that's kind of how it translated from my why to the business why. Okay. Yeah.
I wrote down whys a couple of years ago, being like, what is the reason I'm running this business? And I know in your coaching, it's often... superficially it's increased profits, reduce stress kind of thing, but that's kind of that's not the actual end goal. That's the means to it. But a lot of people make that the end goal is increased profits, right? And that was never, you know, I was writing down what is it that I'm trying to accomplish, and that was not necessarily it. So I wrote them down. I actually wrote them down and then like put it as a LinkedIn post like 2 years ago, and I had them ranked. Like I had 4 things. So number 1 was I wanted to build something awesome. Like that's my number 1 thing. I just want to just build something that I can be proud of having built, and that other people are like, that's really great what you've done. Like that's it. I just want to build something that is awesome. I don't know how else you describe that. It's not very well defined.
No, it is.
But it's just creating something great, I guess. The second was I want to be my employee's dream employer, because I think us as business owners, a lot of us get into it because of the perceived freedom that it's going to be. And I say perceived very intentionally, but it's that being in control of your own time, your schedule, your life, your income, all of that, right? And in control of your own fate. But I also believe that a lot of people are just like born entrepreneurs or not. And I don't think that privilege should only be available to entrepreneurs. Like I think employees should also be able to be in control of their own time and their schedule and have freedom and in control of their own income and all of that. So I want to basically give everything that I enjoy as perks of being an entrepreneur to employees, so that there isn't this class divide between, well, business owners have it great and employees suffer, basically, right?
That's a myth, by the way, if anyone thinks that.
Yes, right. So I wanted to basically give employees their dream job, and that was number 2. Number 3 was I want to have control over my own schedule and my own success. That was a big thing, like having worked for other people and grinding it out, and then a year later you get your 4% raise or whatever if you're lucky. It's like, that is not being in control of your own success. Whereas I can work my ass off and land a new client and like increase my personal income. Like in the first couple of years, when it was literally like all the income's my income, you could literally increase your own income by like 20%. Like overnight. Yeah. And like, it's massive, right? And that's like those, it was so exciting then, right? Like I land someone on a retainer for like $1,500 and you'd be like, oh my God, that's like money for our family, like $1,500 extra a month, right? That's so exciting. So being in control of that yourself rather than basically just at the whim of whatever gets given to you, you get to take it yourself. And then the 4th was, to be able to make money, to be able to have a pretty good quality of life and make some money. But it is, I think a lot of people prop that up as your number 1, and I have it as number 4 is, I want to make good money too. So those are my whys, and I just sat down one day and decided I was trying to figure out what they were and just wrote them down.
Yeah, I like that.
But
I like how different our approaches are. I'm sure everyone can tell, but we never talk before our podcast, so it's not like we like, what do you have on your notes? What are you going to say, you know? But we both went about it in totally different ways, I think, you know?
Mm-hmm. But I also, so do you know like the 7 layers of why, or 5 layers, or I don't know, whatever.
7.
Is it 7? Yeah. So there's that. And when I decided for this, I was like, well, let's do that. Like, let's go through them. And so if I just take my number 1, like build something awesome, and do my 7 layers of why, I basically like work my way down. I have it like written down where it's like, so why do you own a business? I'm like, because I want to build something awesome. So why do you want to do that? And then why is that important? And then why? And then why? And then why? That basically gets down to the very bottom of like, because happiness is the point of life. Like, that's what it arrives at. And then I do it for my number 2, because I want to be my employee's dream employer. And I do the why and the why and the why and the why. And it basically ends up as, because happiness is the point of life. Like, no matter what, that is the end why of why I'm doing things. And I think if you went, and it probably doesn't take 7 layers either, because we're more, I don't know, we can kind of like jump steps because we're like more in tune with why we're doing things. But I think with yours too, right? You're wanting to make other people happy. You're like 3 whys in before you're like, because happiness is the point of life.
Yeah. And I think probably a lot of people are going to come to the exact same why.
Right.
It's just going to be different wording.
Exactly.
You know, to feel good, to be happy, to have other people feel good.
Yeah.
Why? Because that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
It's pretty much all about feeling good.
Pretty much.
Know? Nobody's
yeah.
And that's a good point I didn't think of sharing in this conversation, but a lot of my clients, when we talk about their personal goals and then we kind of translate those into strategic objectives that will help fulfill their personal goals, I ask them why they want those things. Like, what's the feeling you're after?
Yeah.
And it's always something about feeling good, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's I want to feel relaxed, or I want to feel free, or I want to feel joyful. And I try to encourage them to find some way to get more of that feeling in their life now, while we work towards that thing.
Yes.
Because otherwise, what's the point?
Absolutely.
What if you die before you get that $1 million bonus? You know, what if you...
Do you know the story of the businessman and the fisherman, the Brazilian fisherman?
In the boat on the beach.
Yeah.
And he's like,
like, for everyone else...
Yeah, tell it. It's good.
So, like, the Brazilian fisherman bringing in his little rowboat back to shore, and this businessman sitting there on holidays, and this guy comes in, the fisherman, with like a good catch of fish, and the businessman's like, wow, that's amazing, like, how long did it take you to do that? And he's like, oh, I'm just out for a couple hours. And the businessman asks, like, so then what do you do for the rest of your day? He's like, well, I sell enough to make a little bit of money, and then I take the rest and I feed my family, and I can play with my kids and have a nap and hang out with my wife and go out with some buddies at night, and we drink and dance and then start all over tomorrow. And the businessman's like, well, you did that in a couple hours. Like, why don't you go out for 4 hours, for 8 hours? Like, look how much more fish you could catch. And he's like, why would I do that? Well, because then you could, you could buy a bigger boat. Well, why would I do that? Well, then because you could hire other fishermen. Why would you do that? So you could buy more boats, so you could hire more fishermen. Why would I do that? Well, then you own a whole fleet. And why would I do that? Well, then you'd make so much income. You could be investing in the stock market. You could be a millionaire. Why would I do that? Well, eventually you'd retire, and then you could come and fish for an hour a day and then go and hang out with your kids and hang out with your wife and go in the evening and only work an hour a day. And it's like, what do you think I'm doing right now, right?
Yeah.
And that's so, people get so distracted by the perceived idea of like what the next step is, without looking at like how can I actually maybe get to the end goal a lot more efficiently without going through that path. Like maybe I can get the end goal now without building this thing and then doing this thing and then doing this thing. Like you can go just directly for the end goal. And so I think that's a good reason to keep your why just close at hand, because if you can find a more direct route to it, because often money is propped up as the why, but usually the money is the means to some other why.
Yes.
And maybe you can get to the why without the money, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty important thing to be clear on and keep it around for all the major decisions you're making.
Yeah, and I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way. We're not encouraging you to go fishing in a boat for an hour and throw away your business. Although if you want
Unless
to,
that
feel
is your
free.
dream life.
But I love that story too, because it was such a paradigm shift for me. Really, it really helped me get that point about like having it now sort of thing. I think for me though, the why, like to make other people happy, I could be satisfied with just like having friends and a husband and a mom and, you know, people in my life very close to me that are happy. Or I could, you know, maybe become a counselor, which I thought would be very, very hard to deal with all that stuff. But if I do this on a bigger scale, like I was thinking about with the bigger boat and the fishermen and that sort of thing, I love the idea of scaling up and having your why, like, I'm not thinking exponentially bigger.
Right.
Yeah. So for me, you know, and that's one of the things we're working on is getting out to all the business owners in Canada, not just in the local area, is because this stuff works and I can make way more people happy and way more people successful if I do it this way. But I can't forget that the whole point of doing it, the whole point of all this trial and error that we're doing, the whole point of all the work, like with the 8-hour filming, remember? And the energy drinks, I'm not gonna lie, and all of it, I can't forget that in the small day-to-day decisions, even like when I'm buying a coffee or something, you know, is because I want people to feel happy and to feel good.
Yeah.
And so if I'm not considering that, like when I'm around people or with people or dealing, even if it's a waitress or the mailman or whoever, do we still have mailmen? Anyways, if you want people to feel happy, give that to people in the minute, in the moment, you know? It has to guide your actions.
I think there's a lot of, like, it's easier to follow a template. This is why we have stereotypes and things like that, is when you have a template, it's just easier to understand things. I think it makes your day more efficient when you can work in templates. Like if someone says I don't know, I'm trying to figure out a quick way to explain this, but when someone explains something to you, we immediately make a whole bunch of assumptions around the words they're using because it just helps our brain process. It's not like we're relearning what they mean every time, and you have all this context, right? But also just in broader terms, people sometimes want a template to follow for the same reason, that they're like, well, this, you know, it's been proven before and it's laid out by this person that I look up to, like this is the path that I need to take. And so it's easy to kind of fall into some template that you didn't design for yourself because you think that's the best path to take. But when you get really intentional about why and figuring out the best path to it, you can't usually use someone else's template. You got to figure out your own.
Yeah, and you know what? I love that you said that, actually. So many, like 4% of businesses make it 10 years. I know I say that a lot, but it is like the most staggering statistic I've ever come across. That means 96% of businesses are not making it 10 years. So do what you want, you know, like do it for the right reason. Like if you want to get rid of your big boat and all your fishermen and go fish by yourself, do that for sure, because chances are you're not going to make it anyways doing it the way that you're doing it. Like it's so much that way. But I guess I wanted to also tell people, like, what's the point of having a why? Like, especially
Right.
for those people who are like, oh, this is just some philosophical conversation about
Right.
whatever. This doesn't apply to my business. So what's like the actionable, like what are the reasons? What's the point of doing this? For you as a business owner, for me as a person, knowing my why keeps me going through the tough times.
Yeah.
It helps me to remember to be patient and kind with people. You know, it reminds me not to give up. And also it makes me a better person day to day. You know, even like that lady outside we were talking about, you know, like just keeping that in mind just makes me a better person and it keeps me going. And then for my team, like if your team doesn't know your why, they assume you're just out there to make money. That's just what employees usually assume.
That's what all of us business owners are for. We're just a bunch of money hungry. Shirt and ties.
It's only about the money.
Awful people.
But seriously, and that maybe not every employee thinks that, but a lot of employees do. So sharing this with them, like it just absolutely builds such a great connection between you and your team. Am I making the camera shake? I am.
Well,
sorry.
It's a little wobbly on the table. All right.
Okay, so it builds connection with you and your team. They get to know you. Like to hear that story. Imagine if you worked for me and you didn't know any of this and you just read my mission statement. You'd be like, yeah, blah, blah, because business can be better and it should be, you know, like doing your job. But if you actually hear from me why I started the company, why I keep it going, how much it means to me to have people be happy, that sort of thing, they're so much more invested in it.
Yeah.
And I would encourage you to encourage your team to find their why. And sometimes when I talk about things like this, my clients say, but what if they leave?
Because it's not the why they want to work for?
Yeah. And you know what? That might happen.
It might.
But you're better off having somebody follow their heart, work in a way that fulfills them, than having them there and not be bought into yours.
Yeah, buying in is the big part, right? If they don't know your why, they can't buy into it. But like my employees know my why, and they're very much bought into being a part of making that happen. Yeah, you got to communicate that.
Absolutely. And then the big Simon Sinek thing, right? The clients need to know your why. Yeah. And I think I've really failed at communicating that, because I think I've had the opportunity in the last 2 weeks to tell this to 3 people because they basically broke down in front of me. And I had the chance to tell them, I'm so happy to see you like this because I know that we're about to have a huge breakthrough. You know, when you get really, really down and really, really uncomfortable, I know that they're about to make a change because it's going to be harder to stay the same than it is to change. So I get excited about that. And then I have to explain my weird, perverse excitement about them being down. So I got to tell them my why, right? I know. You'd be like, why are you laughing? I'm crying right now. But I explained to them how I'm so happy because this is exactly what I built my business for. I want you to be happy, you know, that's the whole point of this. But I don't think I tell clients that enough, you know. I have it very like,
this is what I'm here to do, is I'm
here to make you happy. I've been doing this since I was 5, you know, and now I'm just doing it with business.
So what I'm wondering is how far down the levels of why we go, because I think when you get too far, it's just too far, so far detached from anything actionable that it becomes not as useful. Like for me to boil it down to my 7th why of because happiness is the purpose of life, and to be like, why am I in business? Because happiness is the point of life. Like, how does that help me guide my day to day?
I hear you.
And so at what level, like at the first level, sometimes that's still too close to just surface level, not really showing the motive behind it. But I don't know, I was trying to figure out like how do you determine what that sweet spot is where it's still close enough to something actionable and what's actually going to impact your business and is specific to your business, compared to something that's so vague that it doesn't really relate to your business.
Is this called a Venn diagram?
That is, yeah.
So remember that Venn diagram that you drew? What were the 3 things?
What were we talking about then?
Oh, I can't remember.
I think it was about hiring, though, right?
Okay.
It was like what you're good at.
Their strengths.
What you're good at, what you enjoy doing, and what your employer would find valuable.
So if I could just make up a Venn diagram here, hopefully it's 3, not 2. But I think, you know, when you do your research and clients basically tell you like why they decided to reach out to you or why they hired you or like why you're better than the others. So I think that is going to intersect with your why, one of your levels. Right. Maybe it's just 2 things. It's not a Venn diagram at all.
Well,
so it's more like 2 circles
2
together.
Is still Venn diagram.
Still counts?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I think that's where we looked at the research and we found people were most complaining about working too much and making too little, like being stressed out because the business wasn't systemized. So we really started talking about decrease your stress and increase your profit. But that's not what I was thinking when I was 5. But they intersect at, you know.
Yeah. And I think when you go like the 7th level of why, that's good for determining like what is your philosophy of life, because there will be people who don't arrive at because happiness is the purpose of life, because not everyone believes that, and they're going to find some other ultimate why. But you do need to get a few in there. And even when I talk to clients, it's going to be, so what do you provide? Like when I'm asking them to help them determine like their unique selling proposition. So what do you provide? Well, we provide socks. And then you're like, and why would someone pay you?
That's your example?
It's the best
one there is.
Do you
have a sock client?
No, but I was studying a sock seller that I look up to for his e-commerce skills today. So
interesting.
So you say, what do you sell? And people will say the actual service or product. Okay, so you sell socks. And why would someone buy those from you? Because they need to keep their feet warm. Well, that's what you sell. You sell the ability to keep people's feet warm, honestly.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's getting at least to a why rather than the what. I think you need to at least get that far.
Yeah.
That's just in marketing, and so that's helping determine your unique selling proposition, or actually that's not the USP, that's more just like talking in terms of benefits rather than products or services. But also just in how you operate your business. So what do we offer people? This. So why do we?
You know where I usually get it from people is when we're working on their mission statement and their marketing plan, and we break down the mission statement into what, how, for who, and why. When we start to talk about the why, it's almost like the 7 levels of why by accident. But I just keep saying to them, no, it's going to feel more meaningful when you really get to the answer. Like, why is that important? Why is that important? So it's exactly the 7 levels why. I'm sorry, whoever wrote that, I'm copying it. But you usually see almost every one of them will get tears in their eyes when they hit that one sentence. And usually I find that it's actually marketable. Like, it's good material for a mission statement because their mind frame is in marketing. But you have to kind of get them to step back into like that really feeling place. Like, I'm thinking of somebody the other day was sharing, and when he shared why he built the company, and now it's a very big company serving a lot of people, that one reason that he started it and the reason that he wanted to take care of or provide the first customer is the same reason that he wants to provide to the millions of customers. But he wasn't saying that because now that he's such a big business, he thinks he can't keep that. But actually that's what was missing from the marketing.
Right.
So that's really cool. Yeah. I think when you can hit that level where it feels so meaningful to you, that, but also you can say it in a way that appeals to the ideal clients.
Right.
And it's answering something that the ideal client wants from you.
Yeah. And I think like there's both of those. There's those 2 reasons or 2 levels to this, where it's either the why you're in business. That's not always a marketable thing. Like, why I'm in business, no one will hire us because of my why, because my why is not about them. My why is about us building something awesome. So that's not really like a selling point, but we work on helping them figure out their why, or their product's why, or your customer's why.
Us happy.
I know, but that's not my why. My why is not making you happy.
No, I know, but your why is because life is meant to feel happy.
Oh, the ultimate one, is.
And that's what, at least at some level, you're giving your customers. At least that's what you're giving us when we achieve our plan, like crazy happiness.
Good.
Yeah.
Can we, so you're talking about putting things in mission statements and stuff, right? Can we, I have mine on my site. Do you want to audit?
Oh, no.
Yeah, do it.
Okay.
Okay, hold on.
Somebody said to me the other day, it was a man and his wife, and they came to me, and I said something, and he said, "See, honey, she doesn't care about feelings. She just tells it like it is." And I was like, what? No, I care about feelings. So okay, I just get so passionate about business that I sometimes, I care about feelings. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so I have it on our store. We just launched our new
I was
page.
like, I've never seen this before. I would have remembered this.
So I have a lot of words here, but I do have
see
this.
That picture.
This is our grand opening.
Awesome.
I do have our mission statement, our UVP, and our company culture written here, but I did these probably 2 years ago.
Time for an update.
So what I say is Lenro Media builds lasting relationships between customers and businesses locally and internationally with engagement-focused content marketing complemented by strong branding and digital advertising. That's what our mission is. It's about building lasting relationships between customers and businesses.
Yeah, I like that.
Is that, but should this, you're saying, put your why in your mission statement. Does that contain anything related to my why? Well, you just need to add it at the end. Okay.
Yeah, it's not in there. But you know what? The what is very well defined, and in what way? With engagement-focused content and strong branding. Yeah.
Businesses locally.
Yeah, you got that. Totally.
Not very specific.
Well, I think, as long as some people need to put in there for who, like, for example, worked with a really amazing landscaping company 4 or 5 years ago, and we wanted to make sure that it was clear that they wanted to work for discerning clients who really wanted like high quality.
Okay.
Right? So we actually put that in there because they didn't want to attract people who are looking for cheap landscaping.
Right.
But in some cases like this, if it's very obvious that you're working with businesses, I think it's okay. You don't have to explicitly say. I think that you could say something a little bit more specific so that you don't attract the cheap people, because you are not cheap.
Yeah.
You follow, my motto is like, be the best, charge the most. It's a losing strategy to try and be the cheapest. So you could put something in there.
So then in our company culture, this one definitely ties to my number 2 why. So Lenro Media values diversity and equality, providing a work environment that feels safe and respectful. Every employee is treated as a partner in a shared mission, not a part of a hierarchy.
Absolutely. And you totally
that's my number 2 about being my employee's dream employer. So that relates to that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like you say, I don't know how you were saying, you don't know how well you convey your why to your clients. I don't know that mine necessarily gets a whole lot into our why or my why, and whether it needs to.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Have you read or listened to any Simon Sinek?
I've watched some of his videos, like all those viral ones that go out.
He's very, very committed to the stance that clients buy from you because of why you do it, not what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So he talks about like some really big brands like Apple, and I can't remember.
They choose who they buy from based on. Yeah, we should pull up
something of his. Yeah, he's very, very much attached to this. Don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, he says. And so I was doing a little bit of Googling before I came over to look at his. He has a book he wrote with a couple other people, Find Your Why, a practical guide to, I can't remember, figuring it out or something. But I tried to read the summary of it. It seems very long.
The summary feels very long?
Yeah.
Does he need to summarize the summary?
No, really. It seems like a lot of work.
Okay.
And I'm going to have to do it now. But I just felt like I always knew my why. Like, I don't know if it was like a course that we took or a book that I read, but I've known that why for a long time. But he's got a very different process for finding it. So I'm going to read that and let you know how that goes. Maybe I'll do that on
you should read that.
What's New on another time.
Okay.
But yeah, he's very insistent that all those really successful big brands are only successful because people know their why. Can we pull that up?
And is that only, what do you want to look at?
I'm just going to pull up examples.
And I think that's a part of businesses that can benefit from having a great brand, like a big brand. And we're big on that. Like, I want to build brands. I want businesses to have amazing brands. But I think there's certain businesses that aren't all that concerned with their brand. I think there's a lot of e-commerce where you don't buy based on brand, you buy based on it solving a problem you had, and it's not really about why at all. We were talking about, there's this raincoat on Amazon that when I was in New York at the conference we were talking about. If you go to a certain area of New York, like every woman is wearing this exact same raincoat because it's something that's sold on Amazon. It's the same style, color, everything, and it's just because it's a good price and it's a good raincoat and everyone wears it. But if you asked any of them, no one has any idea what brand it is. Like, they know they bought it on Amazon, but like if you ask them who makes it or whatever, they're like, I don't know,
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't matter. Like, it solves a problem. It's the right price, it's the right color, it's whatever, it's everything. And I'm a huge brand proponent. Like, you need to have brand. That's important. Like, brand is so valuable. But to play devil advocates to my own stance and Simon Sinek's, is the why that important? Like, the raincoat just needs to work.
Honestly, like,
so it depends a lot on the kind of business. Like, Apple needs, their why is important. The Amazon raincoat, maybe not as much.
So this brings me back to the most frustrating realization I ever had, and it was in university, in my master's program. I was taught one theory that lined everything up for me in a way that made the world make sense.
Okay.
And I thought, I can think of so many examples. This makes so much sense,
as they say.
But then the very next week, by the very same prof in the very same class, I learned a theory that opposed the other theory.
Isn't that annoying?
And it was like
university?
My brain was so itchy. I was so irritated, and I was like, is the whole program going to be like this? And it was.
Yeah.
So
I did a Bachelor of Arts. And took a lot of philosophy, and even an English degree is basically the study of philosophy, but through literature. And that is all you learn, is like, here's this philosophy, and you're just like, oh, that makes so much sense. This grid work formula that I have to understand everything. And the next week they're like, and here's the critic that totally annihilates it and why it doesn't make sense. You're
exactly.
Like, no.
So it's like, which diet is the best? Which workout is the best? Like, there's going to be theories and evidence out there to support anything, but
do you want to share this?
I don't know. I haven't read it yet. I was just I don't want to get so distracted.
What is this diagram?
He's talking about Apple, though. That's where
right.
I wanted to find.
Okay.
But that's the thing. We don't even know Apple's why. Do you?
I don't know their why.
Well, if we don't know their why, then obviously this isn't the be all end all. But let's take Simon Sinek off here for a second.
Okay.
So his theory is that people don't buy what you do; they buy why you do it.
Okay.
So, do you think your mission statement says why?
No.
Do you think it needs to? No. I think it solves a problem that so many people have that I don't think it needs to.
I don't, it's, when you say that about Simon Sinek, it feels weird. Like, I need to know my why because it's how I'm going to build my business, and how, like, the way that we go about building it, and how I manage my team, and all of that. But I don't see necessarily why my clients need to know my why. I mean, it's fine if they do. I just don't know what benefit it provides them, other than getting buy-in from them, I guess, that they're like, yeah, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
But I don't think at all that that's a necessary thing.
I don't think your clients need a why, because what you do is so needed right now.
I need to solve their why. They don't need to buy into my why. I need to figure out their why and provide something that solves that for them.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
And so that's where, so mine is a benefit statement rather than a product or service. It's, I build lasting relationships between customers and businesses. And that's usually pretty closely aligned with people's why. They're like, well, I want to have loyal customers, loyal clients. I want to build something great.
My brain is itching again.
Okay,
this feels like university.
Things. We're destroying paradigms.
So Simon Sinek may not have the answer to everything.
No.
I'm going to go
I have lots of disagreements with science.
I've read a couple. I thought you would like Leaders Eat Last.
I haven't read that. I've just watched his videos on how much he thinks millennials are doomed, and that smartphones are the bane of existence.
I'm not saying I agree with anything this guy says. I'm just saying that he was one example that I kind of thought of when we were talking about why. But in talking about my why, my business, your whys, your businesses, I think both of us have pretty much come up with our own frameworks for how why. Yeah. So again, proving that no one theory can work for everything.
And no one else's works for you. Figure out your own.
I think my core message that I wanted to share today was just that if you don't have something really driving you, that's bigger than you, that's bigger than your business, that's bigger than the day-to-day. Mm-hmm. Like last week, I was so sick. And like, I totally showed up here, and I didn't just show up here like begrudgingly. I was like, hey, let's do this, I feel motivated, I feel inspired, I feel lit up. Like, I don't even know how else to describe it, but when I'm doing what I'm doing, when I do videos, a lot of people, did you know people think I'm good on video? I think it's hilarious. I didn't think that.
It's hilarious.
So my secret on video, do you know what it is? I never watch the videos after.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
So all I have to do is pretend there's one person on the other side of the camera that I'm helping.
Right. Which is good for authenticity. You're talking to a human.
But I wouldn't do any of these things. Not only that, but the lack of, like, I don't have a huge following on social media, and I've been doing it for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so many times I wanted to give up. But the one person or the handful of people or the, you know, the dozen people that messaged me a couple weeks ago, like, those people remind me, like, I'm making a difference. I'm helping people feel happier. Like, I'm making it. Yeah. So for
that
me,
fulfills your why. Yeah.
I feel like you need to know your why because it keeps you going during the tough times. And it's just really helped to drive me and a lot of my success. So that's why I wanted to say that you need your why.
Finding it is just a matter of asking those questions and taking time to really find the right answer to it. So it's, why are you in business? And figure out a quick answer to that. And then why is that important? Like the answer you provide to that, why is that important? And then the answer to that, why is that important? I would say at least get 3 whys deep.
And I say go all the way till you're teared up. And then
could.
You can back up if you want for your mission statement.
Yeah, for what's relevant to business.
Yeah.
Right.
Now I'm questioning if I need the why in my mission statement. But I really believe that most of the businesses I work with and my business, I think if you don't have that in your mission statement, like your statement of, I just feel like it'd be really missing.
Like you said, like, so your why, when you say my why is I want to make my clients happier, like that would not be your 7th level why. That's like 2 or 3, right? Because that's what I mean is if you go further than that, because I'll say why, and you'd be like, well, because everyone deserves to be happy. Why? Well, because there's like, you shouldn't have happy people and unhappy people. Everyone should have access to happiness. Why? Well, because happiness is the purpose of life, and that's like level 7. But that's what I mean is we need to stay at like level 2 or 3 because that's relevant to your business, and that is something you could definitely share because it's still something that you're helping them directly achieve.
And I guess as long as it reminds you of your 7th level why, it will keep driving you.
Yeah. It does need, because it does need to be
just a little dressed
built
up
back
for your
up
website.
from that foundational one, and then it needs to be definitely related.
I'm so sorry, I'm sniffling.
Now you're sniffling.
It's because I've been looking down a lot, I think. So I want to. Did we talk about all this? How to find it, what to do with it, when you'll need it. So how to find it, we talked about the 7 levels. Why? I think that's a really great way. Keep asking, well, why is that important? Why is that important? Until you get to something that really moves you. And you could probably get somebody else to ask you those questions that'd be helpful. Somebody you really trust that you're okay being vulnerable with. Because if you ask yourself, it's kind of, I don't know, I don't have much success with that.
Okay.
What do you do with it?
If you do yourself, definitely at least write it down.
Yes.
Because otherwise your brain just spins and you need to actually write it on paper.
Good idea.
That'll help a lot.
And then what to do with it? I think post it places to remind you. Make it part of your mission statement if it fits for your business.
Tattoo it on your arm.
I was going to say that earlier, but have you ever heard of Sebastian Maniscalco?
No.
He's this comedian that my husband and I discovered a few years ago. So funny, but one of his jokes is about how girls get tattoos and they're like little sayings, but they're like just these dainty little words. I have so many of those. Like I swear his skit was making fun of me.
That's
so I was going to mention earlier to write your why as a tattoo, but it's too. I think
as
I'll
long
just get
as
made fun of for that again.
Stay the same.
Well, that doesn't change if you really nail it. Oh no, that's a whole nother conversation. Oh yeah, but that's why it's so meaningful for you. You know. Because you didn't know that before.
Yeah.
When you'll need it. So you're going to need it when... Let me give you some real life examples from the last few weeks.
Let's do it.
You're going to need it when you spend years training, educating, bonusing, taking care of that employee who you trust, who has a big part in your business, and then they quit and go do something else. You'll need your why. You'll need it when... You know, you're sailing along thinking you're doing really well, and then you get surprised, and for some reason you owe a lot more tax than you thought you did. You'll need it then. You'll need it when your employees have no idea, like the struggle that you've gone through, the sacrifices you've made, like the hard work that you do. And you can't tell them, by the way. Don't try to get your employees to take on your burden there, because we chose to be business owners and we enjoy all the benefits. So we have to enjoy that stuff too, or get through it at least. But you're going to need it then, because sometimes your why is going to be all that you have to keep you company and keep you going. So that's the point. That's why I want to talk about the why. Okay. Yeah. Just don't give up when you're sick and you can't talk. And you have to have a meeting through Messenger.
Just keep swimming. Okay. Excellent.
Okay.
Have you prepared a quick tip for us today?
I said Post your why where you can see it and get it into your mission statement.
All right. And now you're questioning that?
No, I'm going to keep that.
I can see it in your eyes.
That. That's my final answer.
Okay.
What was that game show called?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Is that your final answer? Or that's
I wish we had some viewers so people could tell us. Yes. My why is to keep doing a podcast until we have enough people that someone comments. Just kidding.
Someone can write out their why. And we'll ask you why back. Give us your first level and be like, why is that important? And we'll do it all in YouTube
Come on,
chat.
who wants to play?
Okay.
No?
So, okay, I have a quick tip. My quick tip is completely just something actionable and simple that I wanted to share that's not about your why at all.
Oh.
But people want to, when they start a new business or a new Instagram account for an old business, but Instagram is kind of a difficult one to get going. It doesn't have the shareability that Facebook does, so it's often a lot harder to get some traction there. So for a new account or one that's stagnant and you need to get something happening there, you want followers, you want comments, you want engagement of some sort, you need to give the engagement that you hope to receive. That's what you need to do. It's not just post, look at how amazing this is, why aren't people engaging with it? Give the engagement you hope to receive. So if you just want followers, don't really advise it, but if that's what you're going for, go follow a whole bunch of people and you'll get them back. That's going to work.
That's
it's not
true.
something I advise, but you can do it. It works. But that strategy works with the more meaningful types of engagement. You want a whole bunch of likes on your post, go and like a whole bunch of posts. You're going to have to do probably 100 for every like you get back, but it's going to work. But even more effective is if you do want comments, go and give comments. Like, go and engage with other people's content in the way that you would want them to engage with you, and you're going to earn that engagement. But you have to do it, with comments. I'd say probably like a 10-to-1 ratio. Like, you're gonna have to go out and give 10 times as much as the one you receive back. And I don't think people are willing to be that giving. Like, they just want to put stuff out there and receive, right? But it really takes a lot of giving the engagement you want to give, that you want to receive, and doing it at a much higher volume than what you're going to receive initially. So go give the comments, go give the likes, give the follows, whatever is important to you, and you will receive them back. Don't just post and shut down the app. That's how you get an Instagram going.
I'm just thinking of the people that are doing that to me.
Yeah. And give the that's what I mean. Give the kind of engagement you want. Because if it's like the great post,
DM me
and they copy paste that,
promotion.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of engagement that they're going to get back, is very shallow copy paste engagement. So if you want authentic, real engagement, go out and authentically really engage with other people. That's how you get it back. So yeah, exactly. Those are not examples of doing it. Well, it is doing it, but you're going to get the exact same kind of engagement back.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Okay.
Cool.
So that's episode 12. Be back next Tuesday, 6:15 p.m. in the Mountain Time Zone. Yeah, sharp. Means I need to set up 10 minutes earlier than we have been.
Yes.
And we'll be back with a new topic, and we'll announce it somewhere the day before, so that you can hit get notified on YouTube, and then you can see us go live at 6:15.
Thanks for watching.
Until then, you could also, we take suggestions if they want to tell us what they would like us to talk about.
Say anything.
And then they could show up and talk with us in the comments. That'd be great. And you could reach me if you wanted to, tell us something that you want us to talk about.
That down.
You can reach me on Twitter at Lane_Anderson. You can reach me on Instagram at LaneBAnderson. And then you could just search my name, Lane Anderson, on LinkedIn if you want to connect there.
Yeah, you can just search Kelly Ray Tamaki or TMH Business Coaching and Consulting on any of those platforms. Yeah.
TikTok?
The Google? TikTok, yes, I'm on TikTok.
Yeah, you are.
I am. I made 3 videos.
Awesome.
They're all of my husband and my dogs. Good. I'm like, oh, Tim, I just thought you should know what I've been doing.
Just so you know, here you are.
He's like, what the heck?
We have 2 million followers.
There's like videos
Your Instagram
of him hugging
TikTok
the
famous.
dogs from behind. Okay. He didn't even know I took a video. He's okay with it. It's fine.
I hope
I do have some followers.
Forms. Good.
Yeah, and I followed Will Smith.
Yeah? Does he follow you back yet?
Oh, I should go check.
Okay. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye, guys.